Hey guys, SuperHorrorBro Mike here, and in today's video we take a look at a rundown of the scariest ghost girl encounters gaming has to offer. But why ghost girls in particular? Well, quite simply, female ghosts are a far more common trope within the horror genre than their male counterparts, perhaps due to the success of movies such as The Grudge and The Ring. So with that said, let's dive into a look at the most bone-chilling ghost encounters gaming has to offer. For some reason, children often make for the spookiest ghosts of all, and this is one of the many reasons why Alma from first-person shooter horror trilogy Fear takes a rightful place on today's rundown. Born into the care of sinister corporation Armacam Technology, Alma had a miserable childhood subjected to rigorous testing due to her mysterious psychic abilities. What's worse, it was her father who volunteered her for the tests as head of Armacam. Eventually, when Alma's powers grew too strong to control, she was put into a coma at the age of 8 and isolated in a vault away from human contact, and led to her father removing her from life support and her spirit to then haunt the now abandoned Armacam facility. In the game, she often shows up right before the player's eyes when they least expect it, and has the ability to cause soldiers to spontaneously combust in a shower of gore. She appears in both the form of this young girl and also as a young adult. Both forms are pretty creepy and you never know when she'll show up next. Alma's tragic and morbid backstory make her a truly chilling apparition. While its cartoonish looks paint the picture of a family-friendly video game, Spooky's Jumpscare mansion is full of grotesque sights and sounds and some legitimately terrifying moments. We find ourselves trapped in an old mansion that also served as a research laboratory for a long list of monstrous specimens. One of these is a ghost girl, simply known as Specimen 4. We first discover her while exploring a floor of the mansion designed to look like a school. As we navigate its claustrophobic classrooms, the shadows of other spirits are illuminated by our flashlight, sitting in the chairs and silently judging us. However, it's when Specimen 4 shows up that things really become scary. High-pitched, panic-inducing music begins to play out as she emerges from the darkness. If we fail to escape Specimen 4, she will swallow us up whole. There even exists a scarier version of Specimen 4 in the game's Endless mode. She now has multiple limbs growing from her back and her mouth is stretched out and full of sharp, jagged teeth. On the subject of creepy schoolgirls, our next subject also falls into this category. Her name is Agatha and her appearance is pretty horrifying. Agatha has long arms full of scars and burn marks, and at the end of these arms are long, claw-like fingers. She wears a rictus grin at all times as she taunts us through the halls of her schoolhouse. Agatha is part of a wide cast of demonic entities found within the game Dark Deception, a maze runner horror game which uses the classic Pac-Man formula. In order to escape from her, we must collect all soul shards placed around her lair, and then make a desperate bid for the exit upon doing so. Agatha plays hide and seek with us through these halls, and while it seems that all she wants to do is play, you wouldn't want to get caught by this particular playmate. Home Sweet Home is a horror game based around Thai traditions and horror folklore. We play the role of a man who awakens in a strange room with no memory of how he arrived there. As the cryptic story unfolds, various ghosts and spirits based around Thai mythology show up to give us a scare and hinder our progress. The scariest of these is a teenage girl covered in blood who has been cursed in death because she attempted to curse others with black magic when she was alive. Her black magic rituals failed, and now she haunts the afterlife, spewing up blood and nails and looking for new souls to torment. She can even emerge from pools of blood on the floor and crawl out of the very walls around us. She staggers about, whispering in a hoarse, strained voice as she hunts us down.
What the fuck is this?
The Falling Woman appears in Fatal Frame 2, a game where we must take photographs of ghosts in order to dispel them. Her name comes from the manner in which she died, throwing herself from the top floor of this house and crashing into the floor at the bottom of this stairwell. We see her fall right before our eyes in a twisted mess. This gruesome sight, along with her tortured screaming and the hair-raising music accompanying this scene, makes for one of the most shocking ghost girl encounters in this video. Silent Hill 4 tells the story of Henry Townsend, who begins investigating the murders of serial killer Walter Sullivan. Many of Walter's victims haunt Henry both in his apartment and the nightmarish overworld he journeys into each night. One of these victims is Cynthia Valequez. After witnessing Cynthia's death, Henry discovers her decomposing corpse in the subway later on in the story. What happens next is truly horrifying. Now Cynthia's ghost floats around and emerges from holes in the wall, hunting Henry through this subway every step of the way. She even appears inside Henry's apartment from time to time to give him a scare. Of Silent Hill 4's many ghosts, Cynthia is surely one of the creepiest. Continuing with the subway theme, our next ghost girl inhabits such an environment. The ghost of Jane Espitraviti appears in PS1-styled horror game Lost in Vivo. We find a pair of shoes neatly placed beside the train track this tormented soul stepped onto when she decided to end her life. We hear the ghostly sound of her scream as the train hits her body in-game. Now her soul haunts the dimly lit corridors of this subway station. However, while Jane haunts us in this horrifyingly disfigured form for most of our time in these tunnels, she eventually saves us from dying in a similar manner to her by stopping a train from hitting us. At this point she appears as a kinder apparition in a more normal human form, one of the few ghosts on this list who sought redemption for her sins. It seems only appropriate a game based on one of the most terrifying ghost movies of all time would make the list. Ju-On the Grudge is labelled as a haunted house simulator, and for good reason. While exploring a variety of different locations, including hospitals, factories, and the aforementioned haunted house, we are stalked by the cursed spirit of Kiyako Seiki. Kiyako was killed by her jealous husband, who believed she was cheating on him with their son's schoolteacher. He snapped her neck and bundled her body in a bag stashed in the attic. Kiyako now haunts those exposed to the curse, which is where the game picks up. We hear a terrifying croaking sound when she is near, a result of her throat being snapped by her vengeful husband. The Grudge spirit appears in the most unexpected of places, as a reflection in a mirror or as hair bleeding out from underneath a cubicle door. We must be alert and ready for her to appear at any time. Her pale, wide-eyed appearance is deeply unsettling and makes for a ghost girl encounter unlike any other. Much like Fatal Frame before it, Dreadout is a game which centres around defeating malicious spirits using a camera phone. There are many horrifying ghosts to encounter throughout this schoolgirl's journey, but one of the most terrifying is this giant ghost known as Demi Lorong, who appears in an endless corridor in the middle of the game. We can only escape her by accessing a hidden door, and if we fail to discover this door in due time, Lorong catches up with us. Both her appearance and the inhuman sound she makes are pure nightmare fuel. Our next ghost girl isn't actually from a conventional video game at all, but rather an interactive web browser experience. This infamous urban legend tells the story of a Korean schoolgirl walking home alone one evening who encounters another lone woman staggering up the street ahead of her. As she approaches, the schoolgirl realizes this strange woman is crippled, her body twisted and broken. The girl begins to back away, but it's too late. She encounters the terrifying Bongcheon-Dong ghost. What made this story and the ghost encounter so scary was the way the webpage managed to take control of the user's computer, and just as they reach the moment where it's too late for the girl to turn back, the reader also discovered they couldn't turn back either, a jump scare leaping out of the screen toward them. The ghost of this woman asks where her baby is, and when she is directed off by the terrified schoolgirl, she seems to disappear, only to reappear moments later when her search is fruitless. The website went viral, and this particular urban legend is still spoken of today as one of the scariest games available on the internet. In Pacify, we investigate a grimy old house, haunted by the spirit of a young girl who chillingly stares at us as we search for 9 dolls. It is only by burning these dolls that we can banish the spirits of this girl and lay her to rest. However, the longer we explore the house, the more aggressive this demon child becomes, eventually wailing and screaming as she chases us from room to room in a maniacal rampage. The fact there is little backstory to this girl makes her solemn appearance all the more terrifying, and she makes for one of the most unsettling ghost encounters on this list. White Day is a paranormal investigation experience where we assume the role of a student trapped inside a haunted school after hours. There are many horrifying apparitions to be found within the walls of this school. However, for the sake of this video, we must focus on just one, and by far the creepiest must be the house mistress. While alive, this woman was referred to as the Tiger due to the punishment she would dish out to her students, such as cutting off the hair of female students with a pair of scissors. Her ghost retains this creepy character trait as she appears behind the player when we gaze into this mirror in the girl's bathroom. Upon exiting the bathroom, a second jump scare will trigger. There's something unnerving about the sound of those scissors, snipping over and over and over, and knowing if we hear them, this terrifying teacher is nearby and ready to attack. Peaty is known to be one of the scariest game experiences of all time, which is pretty crazy considering it was only a concept demo rather than a full-blown game. One of the all-time scariest ghost girls haunts its halls. Her name is Lisa, an inhumanly tall, smiling ghoul with a bullet hole in her eye where her drunk husband shot her in a fit of rage. As we explore a never-ending loop through the hallway of an old house, Lisa will stalk us at every turn, making her presence known with a chilling moan. She appears in the most unlikely of places, sometimes directly behind us, other times on a balcony above, or at others outside the house watching through the windows as we explore. As mentioned earlier, Peaty is renowned for its thick atmosphere of dread, an atmosphere which has stopped many players from reaching its end. This is largely due to Lisa and her nightmarish guise. As you can see, she earns her place at the top of today's rundown of the scariest ghost girls in video games. I hope you did enjoy this video, and if you did, remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more horror related content. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.